I've been talking about the current Portuguese government as the left and far left coalition. It was created in 2015 when the socialists lost the elections to the center and center-left coalition. António Costa, the current prime minister, he wanted to be the prime minister at all costs in 2015. So he made an alliance with the far left parties. Those far left parties are the communists and Bloc de Esquerda. Bloc de Esquerda is a bunch of radicals that want to push for the most extreme things. They push for the gender and identity politics. They also push for these very geared towards feminists agenda. And they were even responsible recently for pushing to the sex change of children, basically. 16-year-olds that in Portugal, they don't even know what they want to do in their lives, but they are now allowed to, change sex. Most of them at 16 in Portugal don't even know how to read or write properly. But with Bloc de Esquerda, they are now allowed to change sex, which is obviously a very important thing. Anyway, these three are essentially the current Portuguese government. And the far left members of this coalition, they do not have anyone, they don't have any minister in the government, but in exchange for supporting the budget proposal of the socialists, for example, the socialists will let them pass certain laws. A law such as the one I already explained, the one where kids with 16 can now change sex. And the communists, for example, they want to push for more benefits to the public servants. Public servants are the ones that typically vote for the socialists and communists, and obviously these two parties will always cater to the public servants in any way possible. So this is how this government has been working. They actually don't work because they are always fighting against each other, but then they vote positively for any measure that they want to pass. That's the deal, basically. It's not a government deal because they are not governing the country. They are governing their own interests, as I already explained in previous videos. But I have to make clear that these are all left and far left parties. And so they dominate everything. The media, the justice system, as I already explained in past videos. But in Portugal, we are finally seeing a rise of different types of parties. As I mentioned earlier in other videos as well, Portugal has no right-leaning parties. They have, or we have actually a very tiny center party, but that's it in parliament. Everything else is left and far left. And for 44 years, we've been governed by left and far left policies, which have made us one of the poorest and one of the most miserable countries in Europe. And basically we only survive, we have such a weak economy that we only survive because the European Union sends us billions of euros every year. Otherwise we would not be able to survive, because the socialists and the communists and Bloc de Esquerda, what they push for is more state, more taxes, and we are reaching a point where we don't even get enough money to pay for all the taxes that these people, these criminals in government are always pushing for, so that they can bribe, essentially, the public servants and the pensioners to vote for them, while everyone else is paying for the pensions and paying for the salaries of the public servants. So this is Portugal in a nutshell. But now we are finally seeing the rise of certain parties that are more right-leaning. One of those parties is Iniciativa Liberal, liberal initiative, roughly translating. And what they want, or at least their core values, let's say, they are basically the opposite of everything that the left stands for. The left wants more state, more taxes, more bureaucracy. And Iniciativa Liberal wants less state, more economic freedom, which of course typically means less taxes, and less control of the state, and of course less bureaucracy. So everything looks good, which means that it's against the current regime, and obviously the regime fights back. And how do they fight back? Well, political parties typically want to do their advertising on the side of roads with billboards or outdoors. And what I'm about to show you is a billboard that this party, Iniciativa Liberal, wanted to place. And I think they placed it, but then it was removed by a public company that claimed that it was dangerous to have that billboard there. But as you can see in this picture, in that same area where this billboard was going to be placed, or was placed but then removed, is filled with, oh, look at that. You see, you have a billboard for Bloc de Esquerda, one of the members of the government. You have a billboard for the Socialist Party, basically the main party of the government. And you have a billboard for the Communists, another member of the government. But Iniciativa Liberal, they wanted to place their billboard here, and they were blocked. They cannot, because it's dangerous. And this is another reason why Portugal is not a democracy. Portugal is not a republic. It's a dictatorship in disguise. That's all. The left and far left parties, they do whatever they want. They have no scrutiny. No one asks them for anything. They do whatever they want. And this type of behavior is also normal in Portugal. This is not the first time that something like this happened. It happens in other areas as well. But in the political spectrum, when a party appears that wants to, change things and be against the current regime, the regime makes sure that they are censored, that they are demonized in the media, and if possible, that they are banned. Again, I want to stress that this is not new. This is Portugal. This is something that happens constantly. It's not something that you will be able to ignore if you actually live in Portugal, that you will be able to ignore, because it happens very often. I'm only highlighting this case because it is a political party that is actually showing up with new ideas that we have never seen before in Portugal, at least not implemented, because it's always socialism, it's always some sort of communism, it's never changed, and that's why we are so poor, that's why we are so miserable. I keep repeating this, but I need to stress that this is the reality of the Portuguese people. Not that the Portuguese people as a whole cares about that. They only care about, their own pockets. They don't care if the country is, prosperous in the future. They only care about that moment. And at that moment, the left and far left parties, they make sure that those people get what they need. A couple of euros more in their pensions, a couple of euros more in their salaries, public servant salaries. That's what they care. But these parties, they have obviously ideas for the future, because with changes like these, where we have less state, less taxes, less bureaucracy, it's the complete opposite of what we've been having. So obviously the future will be much different. And we've never tried that. So I'm one of those people that want to try that, because socialism doesn't work. 44 years of it, and it doesn't work. So we need to try something else. But it's blocked immediately. They don't even have the possibility to have advertising, to share their ideas, to share their movement, and things that they want to implement in our country for a better future. They are not even allowed to do that. And I just wanted to show you this because I think that all these things need to be exposed. And as another case that I'm going to cover in my next video, you will see that most of the time, not even the foreign media will be honest about what's happening in Portugal. I want to put this out there as a way to expose the absolute criminal behavior and dictator-like behavior of the regime in Portugal. Because this is not a free country, this is not a democracy, this is not a republic. I hope you like this, and I'll see you next time.